two, three.
Hello and welcome to Spirit Sessions of View of the Light, where we take your spiritual ideas and concepts and bring them into your everyday. Today we are doing episode 22. Can you believe it's been 22 weeks already that we've been doing this? What an awesome journey it's been. And we have brought with us today the amazing Linda Fabry, who is an incredible intuitive painter. And she's going to give us a really cool surprise that she's going to share an intuitive painting process with us. So before we even get started, when people jump on, if you could pick a number 1 through 33. The first 5 numbers that are picked are going to actually be a part of what she creates. So as soon as you jump on, if you see this, just pick a number 1 through 33, and you will find out what that's about a little bit later on. So when I first discovered Linda Fabry, it was actually through Lightworkers of the World. It was a few years ago. I saw these incredible oracle cards that she had created. They are absolutely beautiful with very profound messages. And I was really interested in her process for intuitive painting, how she can create basically a portrait of souls, of your soul. You send her a picture and she comes up with the most amazing, magical things in these portraits. And I've been watching her ever since, joining her groups, just absolutely amazed by how she does this. She is so talented, and we are so honored to have her here today. So without any further ado, hi Linda, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Beck. I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. It's amazing. The artwork that you have been sharing with the world has been just absolutely just a whole nother level, I think. We hear about a lot of intuitive abilities and gifts and everything, but to see it actually put on paper and to have a creative process like this come through, and the cards you've made absolutely have really inspired me in so many ways. As a card reader myself, it's like the next level of cards. It's really just really feels deeper. It feels more profound. To see your process and to experience these cards that you've created. And they seem to resonate so deeply. It's like, I don't know, there's just not a lot of words to express it, but I really feel connected to what you do. So can you tell us about how you have come into intuitive painting?
Sure. Yeah, I went to school for art therapy. So while I was in school, I learned a process of visual journaling. And I've worked as an artist since 2001, and so I've done my own work that way, and I found that the reason I went to school for art therapy is people started emailing me. This is way back, back in the day when email, and coming on and getting a hold of me and saying, my mom's in hospice, she's at the end of her life, and your artwork just speaks to this healing, or people were going through things and they were attracted to my artwork, and I was really interested in what that was about. So I went to school, I studied art therapy and theology, and it kind of came together in this understanding of spirituality and art making. And while I was in school, I was introduced to, like all the Hay House authors and Abraham Hicks and all that, and I really started to understand like our divine connection, and it really helped me to get that. So while I was doing this visual journaling, which is basically speaking to the images for myself and getting information for myself from what I'm making, that took me really far in understanding myself. But then it came a point where I started to be able to do that for other people, kind of a stand-in. I've developed skills over the past forever, and now I just kind of use my hands in place and I connect to that person's higher self or that source where we all are, and let it move through me, and I use my skills kind of as a channel for their higher self, and what I did for myself. So
That's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So if everybody could take a moment just to share this out, because whoever has the most shares this week will win a reading with me. So yeah, share it out, get this out to everybody, because you're not going to want to miss what's coming up. And have we gotten any numbers yet, Rhonda?
Oh, we've got all the numbers. They were really quick in responding.
Awesome.
So Linda just wants the first 5 numbers, so thank you all. If you've shared numbers, what they're going to do is these numbers correspond to colors. So these are the numbers that she'll be using for the colors of the paint. Now there's 22, 23, 5, 6, and 33. The 22, 23, 5, 6, and 33. So it might be a very interesting conversation. I could hardly wait. Got lots. Karen McDuffle's here. Beth is here. Catherine Garland here, and Jacqueline Crawford, Robert Drum, Paula Hancock, Tina Chambers. Hello, Kelly and Kelly Jean. Share this out. That's great. It's love to see you all. Happy to see you all. There's some other person on. I'm not sure who from the Akashic Academy. Teresa's not here today. Just wanted to mention that she's really upset. She got her Wi-Fi hooked up in her new place, but it's not working. So hopefully we'll get that switched in. And so she has moved in. Everything's great, but her Wi-Fi's not working. Sad face. So we're missing her today.
We are. And we're sending her lots of love.
Yeah. So, Linda, what colors have we got? I'm so excited to see.
All right, you ready?
Ready.
So here's the combination that I'm going to be using. Yeah. So it's a nice range. And I'll talk about all those when we're ready to paint. Just let me know when you want to switch over.
You start any time you like to paint, and then you can tell us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna switch my camera over, so if anybody gets dizzy easily, just look away for just a second.
So yeah, what she's going to be doing for us today, she's actually going to be creating an intuitive painting for the energy of the audience. So all of us together are actually going to be a part of this process, all of our energy together.
And she may be taking a video too that we can post later. We're hoping.
And you'll at least get to see the picture. Like we'll
you'll for sure get. And Linda, this.
Go ahead.
just about perfect. There we go.
There.
Awesome. We were trying to do it a different way, but her camera wouldn't cooperate. So her second camera, we were trying to be real fancy, Bob Ross fancy.
Yeah. Right. Which is actually one of her spirit guides. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Exactly.
Because you can't do better than that, you know.
No, you can't do better than Bob Ross.
Bob Ross is the man.
And at least he's not rocking the afro.
All right, I'm going to start real quick. I just want to tell you what I'm doing with these paints that you picked. I'm just going to so my intuitive painting process involves, it's kind of like that Rorschach ink blot thing and a little bit of like scrying. If you're not familiar with scrying, it's basically kind of like cloud gazing too, like what do you see? But I've learned to kind of tune in rather than just going with it. I've learned to know which is coming from source and what's coming from just my own, brain or whatever. So I put those 5 colors down, and then I like to I'll use plastic wrap or a paper bag, sometimes just a piece of paper, and just let the paint kind of mingle. And I'm doing a very small one today. And you could totally do this on your own. It doesn't take a whole lot of skill, right? To just put a bunch of paint down and put plastic over it. And then I like to just swirl it around, see what we got there, and then lift it up. And one of the things that I noticed right away is you might think it's just like an innocent little glob of paint, but I look at the paint as energy. It's almost like the energy body. So I just removed a block in this area of this pink, right? So that's like that heart chakra. It's next to that green, that pink and green area is what it feels like to me. I'm removing some of those blocks that might be there. So that's part of what I do. And I'm going to just blot it so it kind of dries up a little bit so I can paint on it.
That is so cool.
And feel free to share what you see too. We'll see what comes up and kind of compare notes at the end.
Seeing an angel right away, but that's just me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the angels show up all the time.
Yeah.
And then what I like to do is I'll take a darker color. Just today, because I know that we're a little bit limited on time, I'm just going to work with like black and white in my intuitive painting. So this is something I do one-on-one for someone, and like we'll sit down and I'll go through it, and I'll use more in-depth colors and things like that. But today I'm just gonna kind of go through and All right, so I am starting to see on this side just like a profile or person. So I'm going to just outline that right here. Nose, the mouth, and look like maybe they've got a beard. Can you see that? Blue is kind of like a,
Oh, yeah.
like
Oh, yeah, now I do.
That's cool.
And I try, so when I'm painting, I try not to judge it or analyze it until I'm completely finished. And did you have more questions? I can answer questions while
They're
I'm...
saying it looks like somebody's playing a trumpet. This is exciting. This is what Karen says.
That's
Alice Hart Hurley, she said, I love this. It popped up on my feed because I'm feeling such a strong calling to heal through painting, even though I feel I'm terrible at it. So, what if people feel like they're terrible at it? Can you, like, I mean,
Yeah, you know,
like different areas of talent, but
right.
What do you?
I mean, the field of art, it's different than, you know, fine arts. You're not creating something that's going to go in a gallery. You're creating something that's connected to spirit and that's healing. And it doesn't really have much to do with the product at all, you know. So anyone can create. We're all creative beings. I want to go up here. So absolutely, whether you think your skills are enough as they are right now, period. That's just, let's get that out of the way. Yeah.
So how would you tell someone to start? Like, how would they start the process of just,
Well, one of the reasons I do this, one of the reasons I do this intuitive painting process where I just put the paint down like that, is it avoids the problem of, okay, what do I paint? I have a blank canvas and now I'm full of anxiety, right? So your canvas is full, and even if that's all you will do and you leave it there, it's still kind of cool looking, right? It's got a bunch of swirly colors, and so yeah, so it's and I would start too, like just every day, kind of doing this little doodle. So now I'm starting to see kind of this little tree up here.
Yeah, I was seeing a tree.
Yeah.
That's
And you
random.
just
She's running
kind
the
of-
tree.
Yeah, I'm in the trees. I'm in the trees where I am. Yeah, it's all about the trees with me. I'm sorry. That's why I love your tree deck. I'm going. Oh, but which one? But which one?
Yeah.
I love both your tree decks.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so I'm gonna go a little bit with this pink now. I'm feeling this vibrant pink. And so sometimes I go with what I see in it, and then sometimes I'm guided to create. And this is an image actually that's kind of been coming up a lot. These spirals coming out of color. It actually came up in I do an intuitive painting of the week. Every week I channel a new painting and do a reading with it. So I analyze it. And for the person who was talking about healing with art, like, feel free to reach out to me and ask me any questions you want, because I'm always happy to share anything that I've learned. I'm not, I'm no expert on many things, but I'm always happy to share what I know. But yeah, so this kind of spirally thing has been happening in some of the paintings of the week lately. So we'll talk about what that. Right now, I'm not thinking about what any of this means, but I will go back and look at that.
We put your contacts in the video underneath the comments, but we'll put them in again and.
And you do have a support group for people who are doing the actual painting and all of that, don't you?
Yeah, so I've got a Facebook group called Courageous Creators, and you can find that through my Facebook page, the Artsy Apothecary, and I've got some activities in there that you can do and follow along. And then the purpose of that group is really for sharing your creations and getting comfortable talking about them and just experimenting. It's a private group, so only members can see what's posted in there. And I'm really selective, so I have some questions in the begin, like when you try to sign up or whatever, and I don't let anybody in that doesn't answer the questions. And they're simple, just like, just to make sure that the human being.
Not a robot or whatever.
Right.
That's cool, though. I think it's really, really great how you give support, to others, to hold space for them to develop their own abilities and all of that. Because it's, there's a really wide area for intuitive painting, but for some reason yours just keeps coming up for me. It just keeps coming at me, and I think it's just how natural your process is. It's just how open you are with it, how willing you are to share all of your techniques and your whole story with everyone. It just makes it seem like anybody can do it, so it kind of relieves all those blocks that we have about, I don't know. I mean, you see your stuff and it's like, whoa, how did, how I could never paint like that. But you're just so easy about it, so it really helps. That whole level of comfort, and support.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I feel like I want to make it easy. Art's supposed to be fun. Life is supposed to be fun, right? So, I spent many years creating art that was for gallery showing and that kind of stuff, and I stressed myself out over realism and all that. And while I do paint realism, and I incorporate that in my artwork now, in my soul portraits and things, I don't have time for stress anymore. So it's just supposed to be fun, So that's why, I go with it. If it looks like a guy with a pink face and a blue beard, hey, that's all right. I'm just gonna talk about this real quick and show you how I analyze it. So this is what I do. I'm just gonna lift it up so you can see it a little bit better. Can you see what we got going on here? Okay. So right in this area too, like where that blockage was removed, I am looking at, so like here, his head, right? So it's a masculine energy, so that'd be related to like action and physicality, those kinds of things, whatever you might attribute to masculine energy. This is clearly like a male. And then right in here would be like, I keep hearing like heart brain. So it's really about like this intuition coming from that connection between the heart and the brain, which I feel like is information that's coming into the more common knowledge that we have this heart brain, a literal brain in our hearts, and I think that's what this is talking about. And there's this orange creativity. Those spirals are all about like growth and creativity, so that's just coming out, and then this connection to nature, which is kind of right above his ear, which is like listen to nature, listen to your innate abilities, and that plays in. This feels very much like it's telling our group to trust your intuition, but your intuition is coming from these kind of connection to the heart and nature, and then just that innate creativity too. And then I keep hearing Bluebeard too. Is that a pirate or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this adventurous, kind of fun, exploring and taking what you want, but you know what I mean, like that kind of thing too. And then I like to divide, when I look at these, I like to divide it in quadrants. So if we look at the right and left half, and then the top and bottom. So on the right side would be that more linear, practical, things like that. So that's over here. And then on this side, on the left side would be more like openness, receiving, allowing, and intuition. Okay, so that makes sense that that's kind of showing up on that side. And this is more like your physical experience with the earth and that. And then the top and bottom, if I drew a line right here, what's above that line is what you're aware of, and what's below is what's coming up into your awareness. So what's above here, so most of us know, like grounding with the earth and doing that kind of work really helps our intuition. A lot of us are aware of the heart mind connection, but what's coming into the awareness is whatever this represents for you, whatever this face looking kind of down, right? So like whatever that what's in the beard? Like, what's the beard about? So that's a question to answer for yourself. And so what I would recommend is I'll post a picture of it, and if you have the ability to like trace the outline of it onto a piece of paper and just doodle with it, you can do that Zentangle in it. You can, color it in yourself or whatever, and that'll give you more information about what that's about. That makes sense?
Cool.
That's so. You make me want to get my paints out.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch back so we can talk a little more. Real quick. I'm going to switch my camera. Is that okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Ta-da.
Yay.
Here I am.
Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
That was
Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. Now I really do want to.
I'm very fascinated by the Bluebeard.
Yeah.
I am too.
Go
I
deeper.
wonder what that's. So,
Yeah.
what's that going to be about, right?
That is cool.
That's cool. Or Paul
And the
Bunyan.
pink face, so it's like that. It is very Paul Bunyan-y
Yes.
or something. But also that pink face is almost like wearing your heart or your, whatever that pink is, like expressing that. And he's got his eyes closed, so he's looking down into that. So it's probably about like self-reflection and those kinds of things too. And so if you think of a beard as it like covers things, one explanation could be that it's like covering something or, kind of changing the way things look, but there's something else underneath. So that's one way to look at it.
Oh, yeah, and I could see the reflection in the, like if you looked at it as a scene, like a landscape, you can see the tree being reflected into the water and sun. And
Yeah, the tree's almost exactly
That's right.
on top of that, isn't it?
yeah.
And the
so,
blue water. Yeah.
So it's like
That makes sense.
reflections too. So
Good
It's
insight.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
it's very cool. Somebody said they saw a unicorn.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
very
like
Oh,
little
nice.
angels. Yeah.
Well, maybe he needs a unicorn horn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's a small little, it's growing.
Yes.
Maybe he's one of those nature spirits too. So
Oh, that would be cool.
that's
It could
got
be
a
like a
unicorn
gnome or
behind
something. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
And
it's
you-
gnome energy.
a gnome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The
That
gnome
makes
is-
sense.
That's
So
cool.
cool. Oh,
It's about seeing beyond the surface, going
Yeah.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
it's what, before we speak in language, whatever language we speak, most of us are experiencing the world through through images and sounds and those other senses. So I like to say that like words and writing and those kind of things are how we communicate with one another, but art and images is how we communicate with our own inner self, our own higher self. So it's a deeper understanding, and it's our own language, so what an apple means to me might not be the same as what it means to you, so yeah.
That's awesome. So you also you do soul portraits. Do you want to talk about that for a minute and let everybody know kind of what that is?
I wish I had one to show you, but there's tons of them on my
That's
website.
okay.
But yeah, so basically it's very similar to what I did here, but much more, I spend much more time on it. So it's much more detailed, much more realism in it. But I have 3 different kinds. One is with a photo, usually like a head and shoulders or a full body, whichever. And one is with just the eyes. And then the other is no photo whatsoever, and I just channel whatever comes to me. But in all 3, I channel whatever comes, and then I can write up what all the different symbolisms mean. So I would, like I did with this painting today, I would go through all the elements in it, talk about what the general symbolism is and what they might mean together, and then some messages come through me just like from that person's guides or from their higher self that are just straightforward. Like if they need to hear something, it just gets, I just kind of open up the channel and whatever comes out. Yeah, it'll show up that might show up around the person. It might put them in a scene. It might have sometimes sacred geometry comes out, whatever they need to see to get the message from their guides. But also it's like a nice tangible way for them to, it's like I think of it as like a touchstone for people who to stay in alignment with who they are, you know. So they've got this tangible image that it's like a vision board, but like to the nth degree, you know.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Very, yeah.
And you also do sigils as well. So
I
you have like a
do,
variety
yeah.
of things that you offer to help people get more in touch with their soul and be able to see it on, actually in front of them, which is really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been my passion to, use art in a way that, when I was going back and forth, because I almost majored in theology, which is really weird because, like, yeah, that's a long story. But anyway, so I was really excited. I'm like, oh, but everything boils down to our connection to source. Everything boils down to our connection to our divine self. And so, gosh, maybe art's not important. And I was like, oh shit. And so then I'm like, oh, I got to figure out. But then it made so much sense to me because I connect with my source, with my God or whatever through art. So it makes sense that would be, and then it just became this natural thing that, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to help people connect to their source. I want them to really, like, the portrait started out because I want to help people see themselves as beautiful, divine masterpieces. Like, that, I think, plagues us with all this self-doubt and all this, but if we could see so clearly, it's like a mirror that reflects back, like, how incredible we are, So that's what I aim to. That's my little mission on the planet right now.
That's an awesome mission. Really, like, that is such a gift to be able to do that for people and to be able to have, to be able to receive one of those. So we'll put all your information for anybody who's interested in looking into getting one.
Yeah, and her website, yeah.
Yeah, like her work is amazing. So even if you may not be sure, just check it out anyway because you're just.
And you have a YouTube channel too, don't you, Linda?
I do. I've got a YouTube channel. It's the Artsy Apothecary, and so I just launched my Patreon too. And what I'm doing with that is the paintings of the week. So I channel. So like, this is what I just created for this week.
Oh,
you can see the little bee.
Oh, I love it.
So I channeled this one, and I do a full reading. It's usually about like 20 minutes of all this information going through to this for the week, and then that will become a new oracle card, and it's only available through Patreon. So my patrons on Patreon are going to get 4 new cards every month that they'll build a deck, and so every week I'm creating a new image. So it's going to be like tied to our energy throughout the year. So you'll have this connection to each card. Because I'm channeling from that Patreon group. But if you're not a patron, you can still see the intuitive painting of the week, like the time lapse of it, and the full reading. But the full reading won't come out till like Wednesdays on YouTube. It comes out on Sundays for patrons. So yeah, it's all over.
That's so cool.
I'm just permeating the world.
Very generous of you too. Yeah, and you have cards for sale actually on your page too. And,
I do.
And pieces of art and
gorgeous
the
cards.
tree series.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, the tree series. Yeah, I know. I see that coming in my future.
Yeah, I'll be getting the mandala one. That's the one I'm really.
Yeah, the purple, huh?
I love the mandala one. So, yeah.
So Karen was asking, and I think we just explained that you do have videos of how you create channeling paintings. I think you explain that in pretty much every video that you do. Mm-hmm. You're explaining the process.
Most of them, yeah. And then I also am doing like tutorials that are more just about the painting process. Right. So how I use the brushes to create the different shapes and how I mix colors and like all that more technical or skill-based stuff. So yeah, so that'll be available too through my YouTube channel and on Patreon. So. And then I pop them in that Courageous Creators group. You can go in there, and right now I think there's a couple of activities that you can learn how to use, like what the shapes mean in your drawings and things like that. So.
That's cool. Love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today and showing us your amazing talent and creating for the group. It's a really awesome experience that I know that we'll hold on to and be able to continue to tap into that energy that we shared. It's awesome. So awesome. Thanks. So, Rhonda, announcements.
We have a few announcements. We have a fabulous month coming up. Next week Yeah, we have two shows next week. We have one on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. It's a special show. We have Dee Wallace coming on to our show and talking about her whole process of self-help that she's done. Not only is she a tremendous actress who still looks about 22, but she also has a self-help process, the I am process, and been doing lots of work. And she's kindly said she'd come on our show on 2 p.m. We have a timing conflict, so she's coming the day before on Saturday. So Saturday next week, 2 p.m. Eastern, you can see Dee Wallace, and Teresa will be back then because I don't know how she gets these people. It's like we've been so lucky. Like we get Linda, and then on Sunday we have Light Star, right? So on Sunday next week. So we've got a big week coming up for us. Also on the Akashic Academy, if you like these shows, if they speak to your soul and you're tired of watching the normal news, which is just sadness, you can become a light to the world. You can, through our shows on the Akashic Academy, you can be the change that changes the world. You can be that change. You can learn, you can be uplifted and become that change that will uplift the world. If you really like our shows, it's everything else is on this week. We have next coming up at 1 p.m. we have Kathy Holmeyer in Nourishing Your Multidimensional Body. At 8 p.m. Eastern, we have Janelle Cameron from Australia. Her Ascension Report, which is always really great news for the week. Yeah. And every day here on the Akashic Academy, we have new shows every day. So check us out, and you can also join our secret group on the Akashic Academy for $11.11 a month. In Canada, that would be the price of 2 frappuccinos at Starbucks, or not, less sugar. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of workshops inside the secret group and another community that can support your light. And it's a great place to be and meet your tribe. So if you're kind of down in the world, join us so we can uplift each other. And these shows I find that are much better than watching CNN. Absolutely. That's my opinion. Absolutely. I don't know if you guys like watching CNN, go ahead. But so we can hardly wait to see you next week, and stay tuned. And thank you again, Linda.
We forgot to tell who won.
Oh yes, our winner from last week. Well, you may be bored of this, but if you guys share this show out, you may be able to unseat her as the sharing queen this week. Yes. Mary McCartney, you have won either an angel channeling or an
Akashic
with Teresa Warren. So, yay, Sherry.
Share it out this week so you can get a mini reading with me.
Yes.
It'll be fun. That's always different. Always, so an experience.
Check out Linda, and she'll happy to connect with you through her. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week, or see you on Saturday.
Yes, have a blessed week.
Thanks again, Linda. Bye-bye.